Let's cut through the noise immediately. Look around you. Look at the modern man. What do you see? You do not see conquerors, builders, or philosophers. You see exhaustion. You see men who are physically present but spiritually vacant. You see eyes that have lost their fire, bodies that have lost their tension, and souls that are slowly leaking out through the glowing rectangle of a smartphone screen. We live in a society that constantly gaslights you, telling you that everything is fine, that indulgence is freedom, and that satisfying every fleeting urge is just natural biology. But here is the dark truth. You are being eroded. We need to talk about the elephant in the room, the silent killer of masculine vitality that almost no one wants to address honestly because it feels too personal, too shameful, or too trivial. We are talking about cheap pleasure. Specifically, we are talking about the misuse of sexual energy through compulsive masturbation, the consumption of pornography, promiscuity, and meaningless hookups. Modern society has normalized this pathology. They tell you it is healthy release. They tell you it is stress relief. They market it as a form of self-care, a necessary biological function akin to sneezing or sleeping. From the moment you hit puberty, the culture hands you a script that says your sexual energy is a burdensome nuisance to be offloaded as quickly and cheaply as possible. Every platform, every app, every advertisement is engineered to trigger a dopamine spike, to keep you hooked on the path of least resistance. But this normalization is a lie. It is a comforting fabrication designed to keep you weak, docile, and easily controlled. The reality is that this cheap release is not sex. It never was, and it never will be. Sex, in its truest form, is creation. Cheap pleasure is evacuation. One builds life, connection, and spiritual depth. The other mimics it while draining your internal battery. It is a placebo pill that tricks your primal brain into thinking you have conquered the world and spread your genetic code, when in reality you haven't even left your bedroom. You are sitting in the dark, alone, fooled by a simulation. This isn't about morality. This isn't about being a good person or following a rigid religious doctrine. At Dark Truth Therapy, we do not deal in judgment. We deal in cause and effect. This is about biology, psychology, and the raw mechanics of masculine energy. Ask yourself this question and answer it with brutal honesty. If the habit you call stress relief is actually the very thing destroying your ability to handle stress, would you keep doing it? If the thing you think is harmless fun is actually rewriting your neural pathways to accept mediocrity, is it worth the 5 seconds of pleasure? We are going to explore how this cheap pleasure acts as a slow-acting poison. We will look at how it creates a simulation of life that robs you of the real thing. Whether it is the lonely man addicted to his hand or the player addicted to the chaotic validation of sleeping with strangers, the result is the same: energy leakage. This is not a lecture. It is a wake-up call to the warrior buried beneath layers of comfort. Welcome to the dark truth. To understand why this habit is so destructive, you have to understand what human sexuality actually is. In the evolutionary sense, and in the Jungian sense of the deep self, sex is the ultimate act of connection. It is an exchange. It requires two polarities, masculine and feminine, colliding to create energy. It involves risk, vulnerability, rhythm, and the complex chemical dance of pheromones and touch. It is the conjunctio, the alchemical union of opposites. When you engage in real intimacy, your brain releases a massive cocktail of neurochemicals, oxytocin, vasopressin, and endorphins that bond you to another human being. It is a biological reward for navigating the complex social hierarchy, for securing a partner, for being a competent man in the world. Cheap pleasure destroys this equation by introducing a glitch in the matrix. It is the simulation of intimacy without the investment. Psychologically, this creates a phenomenon we call fake intimacy. When you are alone in the dark with a screen, or engaging in a transactional one-night stand where you don't even know the woman's middle name, your brain is being hacked. You are flooding your system with dopamine, the molecule of craving and reward, but you are completely starved of the bonding chemicals that nurture the soul. Think of a man we'll call Marcus. Marcus is 28, works a high-pressure corporate job in Chicago, and on paper, he is a success. He wears the right suits, drives a leased German car, and projects an image of stability. But every night, Marcus returns to an empty apartment. He feels the crushing weight of loneliness, a void he refuses to acknowledge. Instead of going out to meet real women, instead of facing the terrifying prospect of rejection, he opens his laptop. Marcus engages in a ritual of self-pleasure to digital images. For 30 minutes, he is God. His brain sees the endless variety of women on the screen, women who would never look at him in real life, and his primitive brain thinks, "I am a king, I have access to infinite mates." But his spirit knows the truth. There is no energy exchange. There is no feminine chaos to balance his masculine order. There is just a hand, a screen, and a tissue. This creates a deep, vibrating dissonance in the male psyche. Your biological hardware is telling you that you are reproducing and succeeding on a massive scale, but your reality is solitary confinement. You are training your brain to believe that pleasure requires no effort. You are teaching your nervous system that satisfaction does not require a partner, does not require social skills, and does not require the courage to face rejection. We see this escalating in the modern phenomenon of OnlyFans and the parasocial epidemic. Men are not just watching static videos anymore. They are paying for the illusion of a relationship. They are sending hard-earned money to women who do not know they exist, buying good morning messages and custom videos. This is the ultimate capitulation of the masculine drive. Why would a man go out into the world, build a business, get in shape, and approach a woman risking public rejection and failure when he can get the same dopamine hit in 2 minutes with zero risk? He wouldn't. And that is exactly what is happening. We are seeing a generation of men who are opting out of the real game because they are addicted to the simulation. It is a glitch that turns potential conquerors into passive consumers. You are trading the gold of real connection for the plastic of cheap release. Now, let's get into the neuroscience. This is where the damage becomes tangible and measurable. The primary driver of human behavior, especially male behavior, is dopamine. Most people misunderstand dopamine. They think it is about pleasure. It is not. Dopamine is the molecule of more. It is the molecule of motivation, pursuit, and drive. It is the chemical that made your ancestors hunt mammoths, cross freezing oceans, and build civilizations. It is the fuel of the seeker. When you view high-speed internet pornography, masturbate compulsorily, or engage in reckless sexual novelty seeking, you are blasting your brain with a level of dopamine that nature never intended. It is a super stimulus. Imagine your dopamine receptors are like a delicate instrument, a violin designed to detect the subtle notes of life, the satisfaction of a hard day's work, the smile of a pretty woman, the taste of a home-cooked meal, the beauty of a sunset. When you hit that instrument with the sledgehammer of cheap pleasure, you smash it. You break the strings. This leads to what we call the dopamine crash, followed inevitably by desensitization. After the spike comes the drop. The higher the high, the lower the low. Immediately after ejaculation, prolactin floods the system, and dopamine plummets. This is the post-nut clarity, but in a chronic user, it becomes a permanent state of being. The baseline level of dopamine drops below normal. We see this clearly in the story of Julian, a 24-year-old graphic designer in Seattle. Julian feels a constant, low-level fog. He wakes up tired, regardless of how much he sleeps. He has grand ideas for his career, dreams of starting his own agency, but when he sits down to work, he physically cannot focus. He feels a profound lack of urgency. He scrolls social media, he procrastinates, he stares at the wall. He calls it burnout or diagnoses himself with ADHD. But the dark truth is that he has fried his reward system. Because his brain has been conditioned to expect massive, effortless rewards from his nightly habits, normal life feels gray and boring by comparison. Why write a report, go to the gym, or learn a language when those activities release only a trickle of dopamine compared to the flood he gets from his screen? This is how ambition dies. It doesn't die with a bang. It dies with a whimper. It dies because the brain has become numb. A landmark study from the Max Planck Institute for Human Development in Berlin found a direct correlation between high pornography consumption and lower gray matter volume in the striatum, the part of the brain related to reward processing. Literally, the brain shrinks. The neural pathways responsible for willpower atrophy, while the pathways for addiction thicken. The result is a man who is comfortable but dead inside. He lacks the drive to change his circumstances because he is chemically pacified. He is sedated by his own hand. When the baseline dopamine is destroyed, the baseline masculinity dissolves. You become a spectator in your own life, watching opportunities pass you by because you simply cannot muster the energy to chase them. You become a ghost in the machine of society, consuming content but creating nothing. If dopamine is the fuel of the mind, testosterone is the fuel of the body and spirit. It is the literal essence of manhood. It governs muscle mass, bone density, assertive behavior, risk tolerance, and the will to power. There is a massive debate in the scientific community about the direct link between ejaculation and testosterone levels. Short-term studies show fluctuations, but at Dark Truth Therapy, we look beyond the immediate blood serum levels. We look at the long-term bioenergetic reality. Semen is not just waste fluid. In traditional Chinese medicine, it is referred to as Jing, ancestral life force. In Ayurveda, it is ojas. Even chemically, it is a nutrient-dense compound containing zinc, citric acid, enzymes, fructose, and proteins. It requires significant metabolic energy to produce. It is the most potent substance your body can create. It is the seed of potential life. When a man masturbates frequently, say, daily or multiple times a day, or engages in empty promiscuity where he spills his seed without connection, he is in a constant state of depletion. His body is working overtime to replenish what is being thrown away. The brain receives a signal upon ejaculation. Reproductive goal achieved. Biologically, once the goal is achieved, the organism can rest. The aggression can subside. The hunt is over. By triggering this signal constantly, without the reality of a partner, or by sleeping around with women you do not value, you are telling your body that you have won the game of evolution every single day. So, what happens? The body down-regulates. This leads to the phenomenon of the soft male. We aren't just talking about erectile dysfunction, though that is a massive epidemic among young men today. PID, porn-induced erectile dysfunction. We are talking about a softness of spirit. Consider the case of Ethan, a 2-year-old fitness trainer in Los Angeles. Despite working out 5 days a week and eating a clean diet, he struggled to put on significant muscle mass. More disturbingly, his voice lacked resonance. In social situations, he was overly agreeable, avoiding conflict at all costs. He lacked the edge, that subtle vibration of danger and competence that commands respect from other men and attraction from women. He was physically fit, but energetically hollow. Ethan was a chronic user of dating apps, engaging in a cycle of meaningless hookups and daily masturbation. He thought he was living the dream, but he was leaking his vitality. When Ethan underwent a protocol of retention and stopped the cheap pleasure, the changes weren't just physical, they were energetic. Within 30 days, his gym performance skyrocketed. He broke plateaus that had held him back for years. But more importantly, his posture changed. He held eye contact longer. The brain fog lifted. When he spoke, people listened. A man who is constantly spilling his seed is a man who is leaking his vital energy. You cannot build a fortress if you are constantly opening the gates and letting the supplies run out. Long-term depletion leads to a reduction in androgen receptors sensitivity. You might have the testosterone in your blood, but your body isn't using it because it thinks the job is done. This manifests as a lack of assertiveness, a lack of ambition, and a passive approach to life problems. You become a nice guy in the worst sense of the word, harmless, predictable, and easily ignored. Now we enter the realm of dark truth therapy. We must confront the shadow. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist, spoke of the shadow as the unknown, dark side of the personality. It contains everything we deny, hide, or repress. When you engage in acts that you deep down know are beneath you, acts that you hide from the world, delete from your browser history, and lie about to your partner, you are feeding a toxic shadow. Masturbation, particularly to extreme pornography, and acts of infidelity or obsessive promiscuity create a crushing cycle of shame. Even in a society that says anything goes, most men feel a distinct hollowness immediately after finishing. It is a feeling of post-coital dysphoria. It is the soul recoiling from the lie. This shame is corrosive. It acts as background radiation in your psyche. It whispers to you, you are a fraud. You are pathetic. You need this crutch. This breeds anxiety and social awkwardness. When you know you have been watching degrading, violent, or bizarre content in the privacy of your room, it becomes difficult to look a real woman in the eye with integrity. You feel like you are hiding a dirty secret. You project your own twisted perceptions onto the world, assuming everyone else is just as broken and depraved as you are. This destroys real relationships. It is not just about the single man, it is about the married man too. Let's look at Thomas, a 40-year-old architect with a wife and 2 children. Thomas felt bored. Instead of communicating with his wife or working on the intimacy in his marriage, he turned to cam girls and hidden affairs. He convinced himself it wasn't real cheating because it was just physical or just online. But the energy shift was palpable. He became irritable with his children. He grew distant from his wife, finding her boring compared to the high-octane fantasy of his secret life. He created a split in his psyche, the good father by day and the depraved consumer by night. This duality is unsustainable. Eventually, the guilt ate him alive, manifesting as depression and anxiety. He destroyed the sanctity of his home for a fleeting moment of cheap pleasure. We also see this in the incel involuntary celibate phenomenon in Western society. While complex, at its core is a feedback loop of rejection and cheap pleasure. The loneliness drives them to digital coping mechanisms. The digital coping mechanisms warp their view of reality and women, making them even more socially isolated, resentful, and angry. It is a death spiral. This fosters self-hatred. The cycle is urge, is greater than cheap pleasure, is greater than emptiness, is greater than shame, is greater than weakness, is greater than urge. You are training yourself to be a slave to your impulses. A man who cannot control his own hand cannot control his destiny. If you surrender to the urge the moment it arises, you are strengthening the neural pathway of submission. You are practicing giving up. This psychological weakness bleeds into everything. If you quit on your sexual discipline, you will quit on your diet. You will quit on your business when it gets hard. You will quit on your marriage when arguments happen. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. You are building a character defined by lack of control. We must be crystal clear. Sexuality is not the enemy. Desire is not the enemy. The drive to reproduce, to connect, to experience pleasure is the driving force of life itself. It is sacred. It is powerful. It is the nuclear energy of the human experience. What is wrong, what is poisonous, is the distortion. It is the misuse of this nuclear energy for a fleeting spark. The problem is not sex. The problem is the misallocation of resources. Acts like compulsive masturbation, promiscuity, sleeping around to fill a void, infidelity, and sexual obsession are all forms of energy leakage. They are attempts to fix a spiritual hole with a physical patch. They result in chaos, broken trust, and a shattered self-image. Cheap pleasure is a poison because it costs you nothing to get, but it costs you everything to keep. It takes your time, it takes your focus, it takes your self-respect. You have to understand that your sexual energy is creative energy. Napoleon Hill, in his masterpiece Think and Grow Rich, dedicated an entire chapter to sexual transmutation. He studied the most successful men in history and found a common thread. They did not waste their sexual energy. They harnessed it. They took that burning desire and, instead of dissipating it through cheap release, they channeled it into their purpose, their art, their empires. The call to action. If you are reading this and you feel a sting of recognition, good. That sting is your conscience waking up. That is your shadow stepping into the light, demanding to be integrated. You are at a crossroads. You can continue to sedate yourself, to be a passenger in your own life, leaking your vitality into a tissue while the world passes you by. You can stay comfortable, numb, and weak, controlled by pixels on a screen. Or you can choose the hard path. You can choose to stop the leak. You can choose to sit with the urge, to feel the fire of that energy, and use it to build something real. Imagine what you could do if you had 100% of your focus back. Imagine the confidence of knowing you are a master of your own impulses, not a slave to them. Imagine walking into a room with the full weight of your masculinity intact, not fragmented by shame. This is not about celibacy. It is about mastery. It is about saving your best energy for reality, not fantasy. It is about honoring the woman you are with by bringing your full power to her, rather than the leftovers. The journey of healing the masculine soul is not easy. It requires facing the dark truths we have tried to ignore. But it is the only path worth walking. If you are ready to stop running from your shadow and start building a life of true power and integrity, join us. Like this content if it resonated with the warrior inside you. Subscribe to Dark Truth Therapy. We don't sell comfortable lies here. We only deal in the raw, heavy materials necessary to build a real man. Reclaim your energy. Reclaim your mind. Welcome to the resistance.